In the chaos of World War II, as nations raced to build the deadliest weapons in history, one secret project aimed not at the body, but at the mind. It wasn't a tank, a bomb, or a radar. It was a helmet, a strange piece of equipment rumored to protect soldiers from invisible attacks. Attacks not from bullets, but from thoughts. By 1942, scientific warfare had entered a new dimension. Both Allied and Axis scientists were exploring uncharted territory, the human brain. Propaganda and psychological warfare were already well-known tools. But some believed that thoughts themselves could be influenced, manipulated, or even controlled through invisible radio waves. The line between physics and psychology blurred, and inside shadowed research labs, military engineers began asking a bizarre question. If you can send a signal to guide a missile, could you send one to control a mind? It was in these circles that the idea of the cognitive defense helmet emerged, an experimental headgear designed to shield the brain from what scientists called electromagnetic interference fields. At the time, radar technology was still in its infancy, and the air was thick with radiation experiments, microwaves, magnetrons, and experimental transmitters running on unknown frequencies. Reports from declassified British and German archives describe soldiers complaining of headaches, confusion, and nausea after radar exposure. To the superstitious, and even some scientists, it looked like mind interference. In 1943, the German research office known as Ahnenerbe, notorious for its strange blend of mysticism and science, allegedly launched what they called Project Kopfpanzer, Project Head Armor. Its mission: create a helmet that could block psychotronic or electromagnetic influence. Design notes describe a standard Stahlhelm lined with a thin copper mesh and lead coating, acting as an electromagnetic shield. The earliest concept of what today we'd call a Faraday cage. The theory was simple. If you block external frequencies, you protect the brain from both radio interference and, some believed, enemy thought waves. Across the channel, British scientists were already studying electromagnetic protection, not for minds, but for electronics. However, reports from the British War Office Department 76 mention something odd: an experimental head protection system designed to study field radiation exposure effects on pilots. It used similar materials, copper weave, carbon layers, and rubber insulation, to shield the brain from high-frequency radar bursts. Though the goals differed, the designs looked eerily similar to the rumored German device. At its core, the idea wasn't as crazy as it sounded. High-powered radar waves can cause confusion, dizziness, and even hallucinations when directed at close range, phenomena now well documented in microwave studies decades later. So when World War II researchers witnessed radar operators falling ill near transmitters, the natural reaction was fear. Was it radiation? Or something else? Something attacking the nervous system itself? In a war driven by fear and innovation, thought control became a convenient explanation for what science couldn't yet define. Experimental helmets were reportedly tested at several remote airfields in 1944. Eyewitness accounts describe soldiers wearing bulky metal-lined headgear, complaining of pressure and noise inside their skulls, as if the helmet was amplifying rather than blocking signals. German field diaries recovered after the war mention the phrase "silent fire in the head." British pilots, meanwhile, claimed their shielded flight helmets made radio reception clearer, reducing fatigue during long missions. The tests were inconsistent, but one thing was clear: something about those helmets was doing something. After 1945, the Allies absorbed mountains of captured German research through Operation Paperclip. Among radar blueprints and rocket plans were strange pages describing neuroprotection helmets. Most were dismissed as pseudoscience, but a few found their way into U.S. Air Force biomedical programs. By the 1950s, engineers developing early jet pilot helmets used similar copper and graphite linings, officially to block electromagnetic interference, but also to reduce neural fatigue. Coincidence? Or the continuation of a forgotten wartime experiment? Today, we know that Faraday cages, metal enclosures that block EM radiation, are standard in labs and military gear. Modern pilots and tank crews wear helmets designed with conductive materials to prevent electronic noise from entering sensitive systems, including, ironically, the human brain's bioelectrical field. The same principles imagined in 1943 for mind protection are now standard in aviation and neuroscience safety. What was once dismissed as a myth might have accidentally predicted real electromagnetic shielding technology decades ahead of its time. Beyond the science, there's also the psychological layer. In wartime, the belief in invisible weapons was as powerful as the weapons themselves. If soldiers believed their helmets protected their minds, morale improved, and that belief alone could make a difference in survival, focus, and fear resistance. In that sense, the cognitive defense helmet worked, not through technology, but through psychology. It gave soldiers a fragile sense of control in a world where even thoughts seemed unsafe. Today, replicas of anti-mind control helmets occasionally surface in collectors' markets. Heavy steel shells lined with copper and lead. Origin unknown. Some are labeled experimental, others faked. But they all tell a story about a war where science, fear, and superstition intertwined. A story where men tried to defend not just their bodies, but their very minds. The helmet that could block thoughts may sound like science fiction, but behind the myth lies a truth about human ingenuity under pressure. The relentless drive to fight not only the enemy outside, but the one inside our own imagination. In the laboratories and battlefields of World War II, science was stretched to its limits. And sometimes, in that narrow space between fear and discovery, between what science can explain and what soldiers can only feel, legends are born. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden technologies that shaped history, please like the video, share it, and make sure to subscribe my channel Forgotten Survival. Because we cover all topic of history. Because sometimes the greatest secrets of war aren't written in weapons. They're hidden in the minds that built them.